I'm now going to attempt to cut this overlay out that I've created. Okay, so I'm going to cut the inside parts out first. I'll leave that piece till last. So I'm going to start on these small pieces here. Now this is typical what happens when you're fret sawing, you see. I can't move it. It just will not move. And what's happened is that one of the tiny pieces has dropped out and it's sticking through the hole there and stopping the work from progressing. I might be able to get it to move. No, I'm going to have to stop the saw and lift it up and get it out because it's just a tiny bit of wood, look, and it's caught in that hole. And you can fiddle about for ages, but in the end it's better just to stop the thing and move it. Now, I've read reports on various woodworking forums and on Facebook that it's very difficult to change a blade on a Hegner, which is nonsense really, because look at this, watch this, this is how easy it is. Pull the lever forward, release the blade, take the blade out, poke the blade through the next hole, which is there, pop the blade back in, tighten the lever there, tighten the tension lever, and away you go. What could be simpler, and how much quicker could you make it? By the way, if you've got one of those pointless hold down piece of equipment on your scroll saw, I should take it off. They're a waste of time. You're better off without them. Just hold it down with your hands. That's the thing. You don't need a hold down tool to do it. It only gets in the way and causes problems and you can't see what you're doing. So if you've got one on your saw, I recommend you to take it off. Try and do it without. You don't need it. I'm glad that happened. Well, there you are, I'm glad that happened. That's the first time I've been able to film a blade going bang. And you can just see what's happened. What's happened is it's either come out of the bottom fitting or it's broken off in the bottom fitting. But you saw what happened. It made me jump and it made a hell of a bang. And that, I don't think there's any scroll sawer or fret worker who's not been made to jump by that happening. Every time it happens, I jump out of my skin. But it's totally harmless, as you can see. It doesn't cause any problem. It just makes you jump with a loud bang. So that's the first for me. I managed to get it to actually film it happening. And now I've got to try and fix the blade. I don't know whether it's broken off or what. Sometimes the bottom of the blade snaps off. I was pushing my luck a bit. I think the bottom of the blade snapped off in the holder. Well, that was good, wasn't it? Hope you enjoyed that. I didn't. Right, here we go. I've got a thicker blade in, so it's going to jump about a bit. I'm going all the way around just to be on the safe side. That was a bit of excitement, wasn't it? Oops. Oops. And now I can do the outside. What I've got to do, because the nails are holding the outside in, and as I start releasing the nails, I'll put some sellotape on to hold it together. So where should we start? Let's start on these leaves here. I'm leaving that nail to hold that bit together while I do some more around here. See, I'm trying to leave the nails to hold it together as long as possible. That really is the last piece. Now it should be coming apart now. Let's see what we've got. Just a sellotape holding it, I hope. There we are, you see. The piece I want is the middle piece, the one done in the mahogany. That's not too bad actually. That'll do the job, won't it? Right, so it's fresh from the saw. I haven't done anything to it. So we'll see what it looks like. Well, there's the mahogany piece. It probably won't show on the camera because it's too light in here. And it's going to be like that, you see. That's that look. You see what I mean? It does give a bit of contrast. Similar to this one where you've got the white wood on the dark wood. On this one you've got the dark wood on the white wood. Now, I spoke earlier about the little mirrors Hobbies would have originally designed a small mirror to go in there, a beveled mirror, but obviously that was 100 years ago. And the Hobbies company that did that isn't in existence now. There is a Hobbies today, but they don't sell little beveled mirrors that would fit in there for obvious reasons, because Hobbies made them specially for their designs. So what I've done, I've made my own little mirror. Here's one here. And you're thinking, how did he cut a mirror? Well, I didn't actually. That'll fit in there like that. It's a bit dusty, and then that goes over and hides the rough edges of it. So you've got a little mirror in there. It's not a beveled one, obviously. Now, the thing is, it's unlikely you'd get a mirror that shape and size today, a proper glass mirror. So what I've done, I bought this stuff off eBay. This is a mirror sheet. It's acrylic backed, and it's not too bad actually. It doesn't look shiny there because it's got this protective film. If you peel that back, it's quite a shiny mirror underneath. And all I've done, I've just marked out the shape of it using this as a pattern. Well, like the piece you cut out. Keep the piece you cut out because you can put that in as well if you want for the backing. So I just placed the pattern round there and drew round it, and then cut it out on the fret saw. Now when you're cutting this on the fret saw, this mirror, this acrylic, you've got to be careful. If you've got a coarse saw, it'll jump through like anything and chip it and cause all sorts of problems. So there's two ways of doing it. You can either sandwich it between some plywood or something and cut it that way, some thin plywood, or do what I did and use a very, very fine saw. I've got some metal cutting blades, and I put one of those in and it cut round there quite nicely. As you can see, I've cut the two out. That one's still got the protective film on because obviously I've got two to do. So that is one way of doing it. You can cut any size you like out. They're A4 sheets and they're not very expensive, and as I say, you can buy them on eBay. This is the little shelf, and I've already put the bracket underneath. And what I've done with that, by the way, I've just stuck that on with super glue. It's perfectly adequate. That's just held on that bracket with super glue. And that, you've got a little tenon on there and a mortise, so that will actually fit in the mortise like that. Obviously it's loose. Now what I've done, you'll notice I've bored two holes through there, and I've countersunk them on the back, and then with this fitted on like so, you can then turn him over and use these two little tiny screws. These are actually 1/2 inch by 2s, and those go through the back there. I'm not going to screw them on, and they hold that little shelf quite firmly in place, so you don't need to glue that. But I'm not putting that on at the moment, and I'll come to that in a while. So there's the main bracket. Then of course you've got your little mirror which has to fit in there, and then you've got your overlay, which I'm going to use a whitewood one. It's actually very, very thin plywood. It's very thin, and I cut 3 of these out together. The little piece I cut out of there, lot, I'm going to use that as the backing in the dartwood one, so that will pop in there, and then the mirror will pop on top, you see, so it doesn't go right to the back. And then this little overlay will be simply glued on the front like so. And I think that's quite a nice contrast with a light colour one and a darkwood one. It looks much better than, for example, a darkwood one. I actually cut another lot of these overlays out to be on the safe side, but that doesn't show up as well, does it? So I think we'll use the whitewood one for that. And now the other thing is, when I come to the whitewood one, initially I did all the overlays in light wood, obviously, and I've got that one which is a bit thicker than this. This is a very thin one like the darkwood one, and I wondered whether that would be nice to put that on. It's a bit thicker, it shows up nicer. The other thing I did, afterwards when I thought about it, I thought it would be nice to have a darkwood one, so I actually cut some more out, and I used to cut a dartwood out one to try, and I'm not sure whether that's going to look better or whether it looks adequate like that. I prefer that one because I made a better job of cutting it. I went wrong slightly on the dartwood one, which is quite disappointing. It's not perfect, so I might stick to that one actually. I thought I'd better just show you the finished items before I ended the video. Right, I'll show you the darkwood one first. This is the darkwood one with the light overlay. And then I've got the birch plywood lightwood one with a slightly darker overlay. I don't know which you prefer. I actually quite like them both. So now we've got both of them side by side, lightwood and darkwood. The only thing is that they're normally, I believe, designed to just hang on the wall like that. Now if you've got a plain wall that's been painted, then they're probably fine, but if you've got a pattern wall, like wallpaper or something, it will probably spoil the effect. I'll just show you, for example, just this bit of green card. If I pop this behind, you can see how it brings the detail out, and on a pattern wall, so probably at some sort of backing would be preferable. I'll do the same with the dark wood one as well. Put that underneath, look. And you can see it does tend to bring out the detail more if you've got a backing on them. I cut this piece of birch plywood out, it's a piece of scrap birch. I thought if I put that on this piece of birch plywood like a plaque, and then I could easily fit it to the wall easier, and also it would work better if you've got a pattern wall. And I think that's quite good, but not everybody shares my opinion. I don't know what you think. Which do you think is the best? With or without a backing? Anyway, I'm going to try one with a backing and hang it on the wall and see what it's like. So that's about it. Finished article. Both of them had 2 coats of water-based clear varnish. I used a spray. I'll just show you what I used. When it comes to finishing the fretwork, what some people do is dip it in linseed oil, which is obviously an easier way of doing it because it penetrates all the corners and things, but to me that seems very messy. Linseed oil is very sticky. It'll take a long time to dry, and it can sometimes make the wood warp, and it brings out bits of the grain like any fuzzy bits or anything. So I prefer to spray mine. I mean, you can use clear varnish, water-based varnish, out of a tin and a paintbrush, but if it's intricate it's difficult to get in all the nooks and crannies without getting all the runs and bubbles. So what I've tended to use is this quick drying varnish. This is some I bought from Wilkinson stores. It is quite dear, I think. Well, when I say dear, I'm an old codger and I think everything's dear, I suppose. I'm living in the past, but I think it was £5 or £6 a tin, but it is quite a large tin. Now places, pound stores and places like B&M stores, they sell cheap paints, and I did buy this clear lacquer. I used it when I sprayed my bicycle frame to put on top of the spray paint to sort of protect it, and I thought, well, I wonder if it would work. So what I did with this, I actually tried using this auto spray on this wood project, and it's perfectly fine. Now that costs just £1 a tin. So, I mean, there's not as much in it as the other one, but even so, it's still cheap, works out quite cheap. So, that's what I've used, and I found it's fine. Now, since then, I found in B&M stores sell this cheap range of stuff. It's got a fancy name on it. It's called Turner and Grey, actually. Sounds posh, doesn't it? But actually, it's fairly cheap. I think this was about £1.99 a tin, but unlike the pound stuff, there's 400ml in there. And the Poundland type one, that one's got 100ml, and this is 400, so 4 times as much. And I think it was £1.99. Anyway, I think I've just about finished this film now. Thanks very much for watching it. Sorry it's been taking a long time to finish it. I actually started filming this film back in March, and I've only now got round to finishing it off. I sort of couldn't get motivated to finish it, I'm afraid. I was doing other things, and I made several videos in the middle of it, and I got rather mixed up and deleted some of the scenes. So this particular scene I've had to redo all over again, and I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. So I've just started and ad-libbed it, so to speak, as I normally do. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.